morning, everyone. Yes, very good morning. So, shall we begin the session? Yes, today's session is the same. Continue to the appendix number C. That is, what are the various logical models and what are the performance measures. That is, what are their effects that is used with the logical model. That is used with the gaining the data that is available with the logic models of the information. Appendix number C. That is the logic model and the performance measures. So let's start the session. And so what are the various logic model that we have discussed? So it is a easy starting point, or it is a way of the starting point for the meaningful of the for the selection of the meaningful and realistic measure of the performance. What are the various measures of performance that is carried out? What are the various ways by which we can carry out the data, and whatever the selection, whatever the data, whatever the meaningful and realistic measures of performance that will be carried out with the logic models. And how the overall project works must be understood in order to identify what should be needed or what needs to be assessed, what is to be given. And logic model also shows that the project operates, how the project operates in the sense how we are going to operate on a project, how we are going to build on a project. That is the overall objection or overall projection of the project. So this can be measured, this can be used as a project operation, this can be used to identify what is need to be measured, what we are going to tell us, or what is the scenario that is taken out with the analysis of the data. So we work on the logic models. What are the various logic model? What are their performance indices? What are the performance indices in the sense? What are the performance measures that can be taken out with the data that can be taken out with the logic model that will be used, that will be gathered together with the data that will be gathered together on a safer side, on a, we can say, the safer side data for a selection of the meaningful and the realistic measure of the performance, whatever the measure that is available with the performances. And how the overall project works must be understood in the order to identify what is the main content that needs to be measured. And logic model also shows that how the project operates, what is the main logic behind the operating the project, what is the logic model, and the performance measure or the indicator related to or relate to how well a project performs, particularly in the area of the concern, what is the area that is particularly regarding to the delivery of the services, that is the output, and the achievement of the services that is taken out with the data. These performance measures will be indicators that is related to how well a performance will be done, how well it is done, or how well it is used, how well a project performs, particularly with regard to the delivery of the services. That is, what are the indicators, what are the outputs, and what are the various achievements of the data, that is the outcome. So there are three parts in this one. One is the indicator, that is the factors, that is on how well a project performs, particularly regard to the output or the outcome. So one is the indicators, one is the output, one is the outcome. And indicators are used to represent the target specified at each level of the top model. Whatever the top model that is using out, that is used to represent the target, whatever the target that is used for representing with the top model, that is used with the concerned performance measure. And they are measurable characteristics of how well the targets are achieved and how well the project is performing. So whatever the project defines, whatever the project targets are defined, how well the project is performing, that the main target that will be achieved with the logic model and the performance measures. And the logic models also flesh out the project. Flesh out in the sense everything is done with the projects, and also allows the planners to select what should be measured directly from the model. That is to be measured, what to be measured, why to be measured. So it allows the planning purpose to measure what is to be going on with the project with the logic models. And using the logic model also allows the project planners to select meaningful we can say the measure of the performances. What is the measure of performance? Then select the performance measures from all levels of input, output, and the outcome. So first is select the meaningful measure of performance, that is select the meaningful indicator that is generated over here. Then select the measure of performance measures from all level of the inputs, outputs, and outcomes. Then recognize how individual projects can contribute to the larger scale program goal. So that is how we are going to contribute with the larger scale, how we are going to contribute with the performance measure that will be used with the large scale goal, large scale items. Now, these are the various types of the performance indicators. We can say the measures, performance measure, that is the indicator that is used. So first one is the outcome. Outcome includes the SEE conditions, that includes the indices of the water supply, public satisfaction, economic status, that is the outcome of the indicators. Then practices in the sense how to adopt the criteria, how to adopt the procedure. The adoption of the practices, use of the recommendation, that is also an indicator of the performance measure, that is also we can say the tool that is used for the performance measures. Then third one is a CASA. CASA includes the test scores, CASA includes the self-assessment, CASA includes the scale rating. That is a CASA that will be used with the test scores, that is used with the self-assessment and the scale rating. The next one is the reactions, that is the participant ratings of the project activities, level of the satisfaction with the subject matter. So one is the outcome, one is the output, that includes the participation, that includes the activities, then input, that includes the resources, amount of the staff time, expenditure, material that is related to the or relative to the project activities, whatever the project activities that is carrying out with the indicators. So first is the outcomes, that includes SEE conditions, practices, then CASA, then reactions, output, that is a participation or activities, then inputs, resources, amount of time or amount of the staff time, expenditure, and the material that is relative to the project activities. Everything is same, everything is okay, that is outcomes, output, and the input. The next is the logic models as a tool for program development and evaluation. Why we are using the logic model that is used as a tool for the program development and evaluation. So what is a logic model? So in simple terms, it is a pictorial representation or the visual representation. So whenever we represent any table, we represent any program and its evaluation, that is known as the logic model. And this also illustrates a relationship among the various program components. A relationship in the sense, what is the main relationship that is used with the program component, that includes a degraded, that includes a declining number of species, identify the priorities, that includes registering the coastal area, increasing the species diversity, input, output, resources, that include the set of the activities that is available over here. So the logic model provides a visual representation of the program and its evaluation that is done out or that is carried out with the illustrations or relationship among the various program components, initial situations, identifying priorities, inputs, output to accomplish the program goal, as well as the audiences that participates in those activities that is carried out with the data, as well as the short-term, medium-term, and the long-term outcome or the impacts. So what are the short-term impact, what are the medium-term impact, what are the long-term outcome impact. And the logic model can also helps to guide the program planning, implementation, and the evaluation. What is the program implementation, what is the planning, and what is the evaluation, that can also be served as a tool for clarifying the program elements, identify the evaluation techniques, what are the evaluation questions and the indicators, and also conducting the ongoing self-evaluation. What is the ongoing self-evaluation? How it is carried out with the data, how it is used with the self-evaluation. Then next is logic model, evaluation questions, and the indicator. What are the logic models and what are the various evaluation questions that will be carried out? So now let's see what are the various logic models, what are the various evaluation questions, what are their indicators. So first is a logic model that includes the input. First one is inputs. Then there is the output, then there is the outcome impacts. So output includes activities, then participants, then short term, medium term, long term. Then input is including in the staff, money, time, material, partners, research. So that is also input. So what is the staff, what is the money, then time, material. Staff is also input because people are required as an input as a resource persons. Then money, that is also required as a resource person. Then time, that is a budget within the time limit. Materials, partners, research. What is the material, what is the partner that is carried out, what is the research. So these are the various inputs that will be carried out with the data, that will be carried out with the research activities. Then outputs. Output includes activities and the participant. That includes workshops, publications, services, events, products. Then participants are the teacher, youth, community members. That may be a community member, that may be a youth, that may be a teachers. The next one is the outcome or the impact. So there are again the three types of the impact that is carried out. One is the short term, one is the medium term, one is the long term. Short term is the increased knowledge, increased level of the skills. Then medium term is increased knowledge and skills used in the appropriate settings. What is the knowledge and the skill that will be increasing out, that will be used in appropriate settings. Appropriate setting in the sense appropriate approach. The long term is the goal is reached and sustained. Whatever the goal that is reached out, whatever the goal that is carried out with the with the aim, that is the goal is reached and sustained. So first is the input, then output, then outcome impacts. Now this is one of the example. What is the input? So facilitator for workshop, field equipment workshop, material and supplies. Whatever the material, whatever the supplies, whatever the workshop that will be carried out with the workshop material, and the supply that will be used with the exam as example for the input. Then what is the output? That is what are the various activities that is included in the output. That includes a workshops focusing on the coastal restoration. Then what are the various participants? One is a community member that is living in the coastal area. Whatever the participant, whosoever the participant that lives in the coastal area. Then outcome impacts, that is a short-term community members who participate in the workshop, understand basis of the or basics of the coastal restoration, and whatever the ongoing procedure, whatever the ongoing participation in restoration activities by community members, whatever the community member that is taken out, then species diversity in the restored area increase. Whatever the species that is evaluated in this one that is used with this one. These are the various logic models. This is one of the example that how to give the input, but are the output that includes the activities, that includes the participants. Then next one is the outcome impact, that is also divided into three categories: short term, medium term, long term. And one is a criteria. We can say the syntax that is given for the input, output, and outcome impacts. Next one is example for the inputs, example for the outputs, and example for the outcome impacts. Now next is the evaluation questions. What do you want to know? What do you want to know? That is the evaluation question. That is what do you want to know about the data? What do you know about the material? So were the inputs sufficient and timely? Did they meet the primary goal? So these are the various questions that will be answered with the evaluations, whatever the evaluation that we are going to do. So were the input sufficient and timely? So were the input that is given that were sufficient and timely with the data that was timely, that will be timely given, that will be timely efficient for the data, that will be timely efficient for the material. Did they meet the goal? Did they meet the challenges? Whatever the challenges that we have, whatever the material that we have, so that will be used with the challenges phase, that will be used with the down phase, that will be available with the data, that will be available with the materials. So what was the quality of the intervention? What is the quality, or what was the quality of the intervention that will be uh, used with the content appropriate, whatever the appropriate that is used with this one. Then did targeted community members participate? Who does not participate? Who else was research? Whatever the research person, whatever the community members, whatever the target community members participate, and who did not participate with this one. Whatever the communication, whatever the research where will be used, that will be available with the data, that will be available with the material that will be available, or that will be used as a material. So whatever the material, whatever the data that will be available, that will be used with the data that will be used with the material, whatever the material that we are using, So that will be used with the targeted audience, with the targeted family members or targeted community sector. So whatever the material, whatever the target that is used, so did the knowledge increase. So whatever the knowledge that will be increased over here, whatever the data that will be available over here. So that data will be used, that data will be increased upon this one. So whatever the material, whatever the data that is required for this, so that will be used with the recorded data, that will be used with the increased data. So did the understanding of the coastal restoration technique increase? What else happened? Are community members continuing to participate in the restoration activities? Are they participating in the other activities? Whatever the reasons, whatever the question that will be used for the evaluation questions, these evaluation questions will be carried out with the data. These evaluation questions must be carried out with the increased knowledge of the data that will be available, or that will be used as a tool. So whatever the tool, whatever the material that is using, so that material will be used as a curriculum objective. That material will be used as a very good objective that will be available with the recorded data. So to what extent the biodiversity of the targeted coastal area being increased? So whatever the coastal area, whatever the data that will be increased over here. So whatever the material that will be used, whatever the material that will be used over here, whatever the data that will be used over here, so that material will be used, that material will be known, that material will be known with the coastal area. In what ways has an ecosystem will be increased, ecosystem will be enhanced with the data. So whatever the material, whatever the data that will be used, that will be used with the data, that will be used with the settings, whatever the settings that we are using. So in what way did the so in what way, what is the picture that will be available with the data that will be used with the recorded material? Whatever the recorded material that will be used, whatever the data that will be used for the data that will be used for the images, whatever the material that will be available. So whatever the material that will be used, to what extent it is using, to what extent it is used. So I'm using this one for the extendable quality, whatever the extendable quality that will be used. So whatever the extendable quality that will be available with the material that will be extendable with the quality content. So that will be used with the quality content, that will be used with the coastal area that is increased. And in what category it will be increased? It will be increased with the normal category. It will be increased with the multiple category that is generated with the data. So whatever the settings, whatever the curricular activities that will be set out with the activities that will be set out with the increased activity, with the ecosystem quality is increased. Now, what are the indicators, or how do you know what are the indicators that will be appendices, or what are the indicator that will be used for this one? So first is number of staff, that is a fund invested, delivery timetable, whatever the timetable, whatever the delivery, whatever the data that will be used, so that the number of the staff that is required, then funds invested, and that delivery timetable, whatever the delivery timetable that will be used as an indicator. Then number of workshop schedules, whatever the workshop that is scheduled for the number. Then publications printed, whatever the publication that is printed over here, whatever the data that is used, number of the event that is printed, then number of the community members, whatever the number of community member that will be fetched, that will be get with the data that will be get with the recorded material. So whatever the data, whatever the material that will be used with the recorded material, that will be fetched out, that will be get out with the knowledge of the coastal restoration. Additional outcome in the sense, whatever the coastal material that will be used with the additional material. Then number, present or percent using new knowledge and skills to monitor and progress of restoration activities. What are the additional outcomes that will be gathered together that will be used with the restoration procedures? Then number of species recovered, other positive environmental benefits, whatever the benefit that will be used with environmental data that will be used with the recorded material that is available with the we can say the that is available with the recorded material. Then additional outcome, that is a plus minus, that is also indicators. So these are the various evaluation questions. These are the various indicators that will be carried out. That will be used as an indicator how well we are using, how well we are getting out, how we are getting out with the data, how well we are getting out with the computer data, whatever the instructions, whatever the data that will be used, so whatever the results that will be used with the computer data, whatever the percentage, whatever the material that is used with the recorded material, whatever the group that we are using, whatever the number, whatever thing that we are using, that will be used with the outcome, that will be used with the new knowledge and the skills to monitor the progress of the restoration. Additional outcome that is also available. So till now we have discussed about the appendices C, that is the logic model and the performance measure. What are the various logic model that will be used with the performance measure? What are the various performance measures? What are the various categories of the performance measures? So that will be as a, or used as an easy starting point for the selection of the unmeaningful or the meaningful realistic measure of the performance. That is how we are going to bind out the data, how we are going to use the data, and hence the overall project works must be understood in order to identify what needs to be measured. What needs to be measured means whatever the logic model that needs to be modeled, that is need to be modeled, how the project will be appear, how the project operates. So whatever the project operates, what are the material that you are operating, so that will be indicators that relate to how well a project performs, particularly with regard to the delivery of the services, achievement of the results, whatever the achievements, whatever the result that will be using out, so that will be used as a available data. So that material will be used as a modification, that will use as a top model. And they are the measurable characteristics, how well the targets are achieved, how well the project is binding out, performing out the data. And there is also a flesh out material, there is also a project material that allows the planners to select what should be measured directly from the data, what should be measured directly from the logic models. And whenever we are using the models, logic model, that also allows the project planners, whatever the elevation, whatever the material that they are using, so they allows the project planners to select the meaningful data, so select the related data about this one. And these are the various common types of performance measure, that is indicators, that includes the outcome, that includes the output, that includes the input. There are three parts in this. One is the input, one is the outcome, one is the output. And outcome is also of the various categories and the output is also with the various categories. But the main thing is that there are three categories in this. One is the outcome, one is the output, one is the input. Then how the logic model will be used as a tool for program development and evaluation, how it is used and why it is used. So how it is used for the project evaluation, how it is logic model will be used as a tool for the program development and the evaluation. What are the various evaluation questions that is used, what are the various indicators that is used. So first one is the input, then there is the output that is divided into two categories, activities and the participant. Then outcomes that is divided into three categories, short term, medium term and the long term. There are three categories of this one. Then evaluation question, what do you want to know, where the data will be stored, where the sufficient timely will be used, whatever the data that is used to know. Then indicators, that is how will you know it, how will you know the data, how will you judge the data. These are the various questions, these are the various answers that will be used as a logic model, that will be used as a evaluation questions and the indicators, right? So that's all for today's session. And in the next class, that is in the tomorrow's class, I'm going to start with a new appendices. That is appendix number D, levels of the evaluation. What are the various evaluation level that will be used with the resources, that will be used with the activities. So till now, any doubts, anyone? So you can clear the doubts, you can ask the doubts regarding the assignment, regarding the module, anything that you want to ask. So any doubts, anyone till now? Any doubts regarding any clarification that you want to do? So all right.